What's everybody? Welcome back to the Grand Torino. Delighted you could join me for today's episode. Putting a little conversation together. Before I introduce my next guest, I want to give a big shout out to all my Patreon, all the subscribers that have recently joined the show. Welcome aboard. Big Heidi hey. Don't forget to press the like button if you're new here. Press the subscription button also and the little blue bell, and you'll be reminded of future conversations here in the Grand Torino. Little bit of touch base with you guys before I introduce my next guest. Some amazing articles going up on the Gran Torino website, www.grantorino.ie. I encourage you to go over there and keep an eye out on that, and we will ask you to join a mailing list. So should the platform be taken down in the future, as we all predict it's going to happen because there's a massive purge going on conservative sites. So when that tsunami reaches Ireland, expect to see some of the bigger YouTuber accounts being taken down as well going forward. So with that, I want to introduce to you my next guest, Hermann Kelly.
Rowan,
thanks for joining me on the show.
Thanks for your invitation.
Just for my audience back here, just most of my audience know here's what's going on. You're from the Irish Exit Freedom Party.
Yes.
Recently rebranded and renamed. You're out of the streets canvassing at the moment for the MEP presidential elections. How's that going?
Yeah, we've concentrated on working class areas in Dublin, and the reception there has been really excellent. The only complaint that they had was, why haven't you done this before? That was their only complaint. But the reception, they're sick to teeth of Labour Party, People Before Profit, Sinn Féin, who are actually quite strong in a lot of these areas, and but they've seen through them all because their lives are greatly affected by what's going on. One is that the great, like, we joined the European Union. It's a debt union, it's a political union, and it's a military union. Now, they were the people most affected by the debt union. The 64 billion bank debt they imposed upon us gave us property tax, the USC, Universal Social Care, putting on carbon tax and water charges. Now, these are the people on lower incomes. For them, it's a large slice of their income. For someone who's pretty rich, it's no big deal. It's only like 5%. Yeah. For them, it's a big slice of their income. They're the ones who get really hammered, and they're the ones who feel the big bite. So I think working class people across most countries are normally more patriotic anyway. Yeah. They feel a sense of solidarity with the people they live beside. So they're naturally patriotic. They're the ones who got hammered by all this debt. Like the middle classes and upper middle, the kind of richer classes, establishment in Ireland haven't really been affected. They fell a little bit in the downturn, but they came floating up the top again, just as before. But ordinary working class people who've been really impacted by the debt union are very, very open.
This is what you're getting on the doorstep, How's the whole?
Another thing I found was we basically emphasised the fact that EU membership means open door to 500 million people who have an untrammeled right to come, live and work and reside in Ireland, and that pushes up demand for houses. Yeah. It pushes up rentals, and people just cannot rent an apartment, or they can't afford to buy a house anymore, and they see either young couples or their parents see that even when a couple, two are out working, that even then they can't afford to buy a house in Dublin.
Why do you think our political class and our mainstream media won't even broach this subject? Open borders and housing crisis, they just don't seem to equate the two.
Well, you just cannot get rid of basic economic laws of supply and demand. I raised it once on Tonight's show there, it must have been 8 months ago, and you immediately get called racist. No one who mentioned race. Yeah. Nothing to do with race. No one ever fucking mentioned it. But it's basic economics of supply and demand. Look, if 50,000 people move from Cork up to Dublin and they sell their houses in Cork, it means there's oversupply on the market, prices go down. Now, and then they come to Dublin, 50,000 people looking for houses in Dublin, greater demand, prices go up. Yeah. It's not rocket science.
It's not.
It's basic economics.
You recently did an interview with a Green candidate, I can't remember his name, but when he broached the subject, he said that the government wasn't building social houses quick enough. And the onus was on government to build and meet the demands, and hasn't pre-planned or prepared this mass open border migration.
There's no way. Well, there's two aspects to that. One, it's not really like people go out to work. You want a house, you go out to work, you earn a wage, and try to buy a house. Yeah. this idea that the government is like the big daddy who's there to look after you. I'm sorry, I'm for, like, the party is, as you say, rebranded the Irish Freedom Party. We're for freedom, for independence from the European Union, independence from the big state, and we want free people, and a free state is a free society.
Yeah.
Being dependent on the EU or the government is not freedom. It's slavery. And if it's powerful enough to look after you, it's also powerful enough to crush you. So the whole thing, the government cannot plan for, say, social housing when they don't know how many people are coming in. At the moment, over 60,000 people a year net are coming into Ireland. Like, unless
that's conservative. I would say.
That's a conservative. That's even before you go on to the refugees and people who just come here illegally, and there's quite a lot. That's just the government statistics. But there's no way that any society can keep up with that rate of demand. And how can a Green councillor or Green TD talk about we need to house them? Like, I thought we wanted a green and beautiful Ireland. How can we have a green and pleasant Ireland when every blade of grass in Ireland should be covered in concrete and with a house?
Yeah.
Like, the idea, when you press it to these people, only anarchists, lunatics, Trotskyites and globalist capitalists are in favour of open borders and mass immigration. That's what they all have in common. And the whole thing about when you actually press them, like according to UN migration, whatever organization, refugee, whatever, they say there's 60 million people at any one time in this world who want to emigrate. So if you put it to these people, okay, are you telling me that these 60 million people who around the world who want to emigrate, they all have a right to come to Ireland?
Yeah.
Like when you confront them with this.
Well, they say, and they would say they would say that they have an overwhelming right to come here above and beyond, not above and beyond anybody else, but just to step out of that argument, and I'm sure people will get that argument. Yeah. And I said it to the AFD, as a plan on that particular subject, should the Irish Freedom Party, let's spin a plate and let's write our own movie here and our own script. The Irish Freedom Party gains a majority of, say, even a coalition government. Yeah. On that premise, what would you do to resolve that specific?
Well,
the housing crisis and the
I would say straight off that the people coming in here doesn't depend on migrants' desire to come here. That's not our problem. I don't feel any moral obligation to house the world. That it depends on Ireland's need. That if we need people if we're short of whatever engineers, and we need people who are well qualified with high-tech qualifications, we'll take them in, and they're well qualified. But the whole thing, if basically it's a choice between controlled and uncontrolled immigration, we want migration to be controlled. And if it's between people who are vetted and unvetted, we want people who are vetted. We want to know who they are, that they've got no criminal record, that they're coming in and our countries are still going to be safe, and their medical history. They're not coming in and they're going to be a massive drain on our health and welfare system, that they've got a job, that they can provide for themselves, that they can provide their own insurance.
These are stringent requirements by Canada and Australia for Irish candidates to go abroad. And they fulfil all these needs. Yeah,
it's basically becoming a normal, self-governing state. There's no country. Like, you're not a country unless you have a border. Like, you're not a country unless you have control of your own laws, control of your own budgets, and control of your own borders. Now, all we want is that migration is controlled with people who are vetted and who are well qualified and who can contribute. It doesn't matter at all how much they desire that they want to come to Ireland unless Ireland has a need for them. I'm saying, sorry. Now, there are a very small minority of people who are genuine refugees, and like you can see people there, that woman Asa.
They're scared for the Social Democrats.
In Pakistan, for instance.
Oh, sorry.
The woman, a lot of these Christians in the Middle East.
Aisha Bibi.
They have nowhere to go. They're persecuted, and they need a safe haven. And Ireland, I think, should be happy to take in genuine refugees who do need asylum. But if you have an open border and mass immigration, and you have less and less room for genuine refugees. So you need to control your borders, be selective of the people who have come into your country, and then you have more room for genuine refugees, and not like that fraudulent candidate for the Social Democrats who was caught lying through her teeth.
So many discrepancies even in her story, and Social Democrats even verified her. It's like, regardless of whether you've broken the law or you haven't met the requirements, we're still going to allow you into our political arena. Even like direct provision centres now. People from another culture, continent, different world away from us are allowed to enter our political arena and represent whatever their values are. They're not Irish values.
Even according to official government statistics, only, and they're pretty lax as it is, but even according to their own statistics, the second time I can't say it properly, go home and practice, that only 8% of people who've applied for asylum are actually accepted by the state as genuine. Yeah. So 8%. So all the rest of them, the other 92%, the vast majority of the people who apply for asylum in Ireland are fraudulent.
Do you think there should be a deportation program?
They're costing the Irish taxpayer a fortune. They're snarling up the legal system. They're costing Irish people a fortune, one for these direct provision centres, and two for the legal
they're feeding that gravy train. They're feeding that gravy train.
And who's living off this gravy train? You can see that the wife of Barry Andrews, the TD, has milked it for over $1 million. I believe also, correct me if I'm wrong, that also his father made a huge amount of money processing these asylum applications. We know in advance now that the vast majority are fraudulent, and it's costing us a fortune. My attitude is, if you're here illegally, you should be deported immediately. Now, that guy who was committed the murder of the Japanese worker up in Dundalk last January, on January the 5th, he walked over the border. He was met by the Gardaí. He said, the guards told him, you should go down to Dublin and apply for asylum. That guy was here illegally, had no right to be here. He was unvetted, didn't know he was an Islamic nut job, and he should have been put in a cart, flown off somewhere else, and thrown back.
Because the rules were actually
they allowed him in. He went and killed one Japanese worker up in Dundalk and tried to kill two other Irish guys. Sorry, guys, you're not protecting our society when that's allowed to go ahead. Another problem that the mass immigration of unvetted and unqualified people into Ireland is that the growth in lawless gangs around many working class areas in Dublin and in North Dublin. The explosion in the number of rapes and sexual assaults in Ireland is incredible.
Yeah.
Very underreported. It's all to do with,
but it's very underreported. It's reported in local newspapers around the country and stuff like that. But it's not given the national airtime, nor are the statistics on HIV prevalence and the rape statistics.
Yeah, well, we just need to know who these people are, where they're from, what are their names, what's their history, will they contribute to society, and basically, unless we know who they are, unless they can contribute to society, I don't believe they should be here.
I don't want to get you bogged down on that one subject there, because even after that team, we might be accused of dog whistling. Yeah. But that's for other people to decide.
But you know what? In working class areas, they're the ones who are impacted, and they're the ones telling me at the door, you know what? We have a problem. I was up in Balbriggan there a few days ago, and they've had massive problems up there. Yeah. Social problems with gangs and drugs and carry on like that. And like many parts of this world, of Dublin, are becoming uninhabitable. I know people can't live there. People are in their homes and they're afraid, and that's not all. No. I know, and that's not an island in which do we want our children to be brought up. You know?
So that's the security and immigration. I like that theme and thesis from the party. Now, we're going around through various different things, because we could mention the new Facebook. I'd start off on that actually. Yeah. The new Facebook team that's monitored, just employed 40 new technicians now to monitor social media practices and probably to curtail wrongthink. Yeah. You know, if you don't ascribe thought crimes and all this kind of stuff, and people go, you're crazy. Yeah. But you're on the presidential campaign train. You were booked in to do an appearance on TV3. Yeah. A couple of weeks
for
the European elections. What were you told?
I was booked into Virgin Media Tonight show there for the last 2 weeks, and I got a phone call yesterday. And Hermann, I'm really sorry. We really want to have you on, but we've been given guidelines by the BAI, which is the Broadcasting Authority of Ireland, and basically saying that the emphasis of those allowed on must be already members or in parties which have elected representatives in their Oireachtas or local government, and independents are not in that class. So I'm really sorry. We want to have you on, but we just can't. And not only, so we got a Mickey Mouse 25 seconds on RTE. I was told I've got 25 seconds. I did my lines. Well, I wanted to say, I said, don't bother asking me a question. I'm just going to give you my 25 seconds. I did it in 24 seconds. They know what they did? They cut out the last 2 sentences where I introduced an issue which they don't like. And
which was?
The immigration and housing crisis. And then, so they not only want to constrain your time, they even want to constrain what you're allowed to talk about, even in your Mickey Mouse 25 seconds. And last night I found out, I could see that there was a Dublin Euro hustings organised by Trukra. And I rang up yesterday, and I'm running in the European election. I'm a candidate. I'd like to be at the housing. No, sorry, you haven't been invited. You're not the same as the Broadcasting Authority. That you're not a member of a party with members in the Oireachtas or local authorities. So no, sorry, you're not invited.
And that's not just you.
No independents.
Not just you. All the independents.
It would apply to all the independents.
I'm not going to give any equal airtime.
No. So another aspect, it's the whole thing about disallowing new entrants, right? Another aspect which I've only really discovered because, hey, I haven't spent a lifetime looking up party funding and how it's done, like, you know. But once you're in that realm, you then have to start looking at it. And so I was looking into Irish political parties. So TDs and councillors are paid by the state, by the taxpayer. The state doesn't produce any money; it comes from taxpayers.
Glad you picked up on that.
Who go out to work in the morning.
Yeah.
So they're all funded by the taxpayer. Fine enough. Okay, TDs and councillors, no problem. But to my great amazement, private political parties also get 16 million euro a year off the Irish taxpayer. And not only are they sucking on the taxpayers' teeth very hard every year, but they then have the simple rules which constrains massively individuals to take political donations for a political purpose. Yeah,
because the journal kind of attacked you on that because they said you weren't candidates.
It was quite funny. The journal, they have 5 or 6 tweets on the one Twitter line, one after another, basically breathlessly telling the world
we got them.
That Irish Freedom Party had received a donation of €101, breathlessly, as if it was Watergate.
Yeah.
You know, at the same time as the taxpayer, against their will, is funding these political parties, 16 million a year. They start complaining about us having received €101. Like, I'm not right. So I'm running as a candidate for the Irish Freedom Party. Well, actually, as an independent candidate in the Dublin Euro election, and Professor Dolores Cahill, who's professor at UCD, she is running for herself. She's running in the southern South constituency. We're not receiving any money off the party. The donations go into the website to stay with the party. We're both funding individually. We both set up our own bank accounts according to the simple rules.
Sure, the rules.
We're receiving donations, and we're dependent.
We'll talk about that process as well. That you were even scuppered by getting your paperwork in order. Tell us about that process.
Yeah, every way they can go, every way they can
People think you're joking.
So not only do they do you about funding, not only do they do you about airtime for broadcast, they also do you, like, preventing you now, like, even being allowed to speak at hustings, right? For what is a public election. It's quite funny, is that when we applied for we were contacted the Clerk of the Daw, there's an office in the Oireachtas, about party registration. And after Christmas, we wrote them, or the secretary wrote them, and it was all about, okay, we want to know the legislation, all the requirements, everything you need, and we have this. We'll ask this question: name, address, age, date of birth, blah blah blah. Constituency. Is this all fine? Is this all you need? Yeah. That's all.
You're all up to date.
So it's nice and easy. Bank account, all that. And so I think we then, after a bit of effort, we then put the papers in. I think it was March the 11th. I'm thinking, well, everything's there. Everything goes smoothly. But like they came back to us the first time. I think it was 3 weeks after, which is very late. And they know that the close of nominations for the elections was the 15th of April. And it came back this 3 weeks, and sorry, you have to, you forgot, did it wrong, you have to tick this box. So
minor procedural things.
Yeah, and then, we went and
tick the box.
Tick the box. And then I said, well, please, can we get a move on here? Like, you've got the 300 names there. And we didn't do it electronically. We had, we got everything with hard copy. Right, just so they couldn't say.
It's a timely process.
And then we got the public auditor to go through. Got 300 names of this, and then come back after close of nominations. The close of nominations, until which it's important, we want the party on the ballot paper. So after that, they then come back, and then they can't do that. And then they say, remember that box we told you to take? No, you have to untick that box.
Yeah.
So they were just giving us a runaround. And then the last thing now is about the logo. It's too close to Fianna Fáil. Well, if you look at our logo and the Fianna Fáil logo, it's quite different. But anyway, now they're onto us. Where before they ignored our phone calls, they came back very, very slowly. Now they're onto us, and they're all smiley. The clerk of the Dáil is best friends with our secretary now, and now they can't get the registration done quick enough now. Because it's now meaningless. It's after a close of registration, a close of nomination. So now when we needed it to be done quickly, slow, stall. Now they can't be helpful enough when it's basically no good.
So it's establishment tactics there as well.
Well, the establishment has done everything to screw us in regards to registration for the party. Now establishment has done everything to stop us getting on broadcast media, to receive money as a party. It's just incredible.
So you would say that the democratic process is it's not functioning properly under the management.
Well, in a functioning democracy, people should be able to hear different views and different candidates. That is not taking place. Now, a gladiator never complains that he was defeated in battle, or a politician never complains that his arguments were hammered and he got beaten on the ground. Like a gladiator complains that he was never allowed into the arena.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
At the minute, because of party registration, about broadcast time, about how much money you can receive, like it's very difficult to get into the arena. But we're not complaining, because you know what? Going round canvassing, I'm going to give you the number. Can I give you the number after you have it on the YouTube afterwards? About the canvas teams. We have canvas teams going around in Dublin in areas which are compact, easy to canvas, and we're getting a fantastic reception in working class areas. It's really, really good. So I am sure that with the leaflet we have and the canvas teams that are doing in Dublin, we'll be able to reach a lot of people. So we're not going to be constrained. We're not going to be held back by these people at all.
Let me just
we're coming for them.
We'll finish out now. The process is difficult and strange, and I'm sure many of my Irish audience would be well aware of that, but it's becoming more and more blatant. But we've a lot more YouTubers and live stream, different media sources now boosting this and pushing it out and telling other people about the process here is being strangled for alternative voices. You know, no surprise. But now we have to deal with that.
About Facebook now Facebook and like Google,
Twitter will do it.
Google and Facebook and stuff. They're all headquartered in Ireland, and you can imagine the influence that the Irish government has.
Look at my channel here. My channel is demonetised. The recommended list isn't coming up. Same as other conservative YouTube channels that are happening in the States. Twitter is doing the same. You'll shadow ban, desensitise pictures because of you're either promoting an alternative opinion or anything like that. But
well, I want to see the opinion we're promoting is basically to be a normal state that governs itself. Now, we don't want to be members of a political union with Brussels. You see where that led us. Like, I give you an example there. It was Murr Street on Sunday.
I was just going to say, bring us into that.
by chance had been there about 2 days previously, and I gave the example of in Moore Street, a directive came in there on the 1st of January. It means that the license that Moore Street traders, and they're kind of iconic
but they've been handed that license from generation to generation to generation.
Trading license, one to a family member every generation. Now, because of this EU directive, they're not allowed to do that, and that changes our culture. And I believe that it should be Irish people alone who should decide that, not some faceless bureaucrat in Brussels who doesn't know, or doesn't care, and doesn't love our country. That should be Irish people decide. Now, as it stands, in areas, and like, would you hear this? In areas of EU competence, EU regulations have primacy over Irish laws, Irish Supreme Court, and over our Irish Constitution. Now, that is not a sovereign republic. That is not what the men and women of 1916 fought for. I just want to be sovereign, independent country that Irish people make their own laws for our own benefit. So we want out of the political union. We will not have laws imposed upon us by anybody in London or in Brussels.
Well, you say that as well. Would you also include the judicial system?
Yes.
As judges still sign off and sign allegiance to the Crown back home. Now, I don't want you to speak of that because I'm hitting you with that to the sidetrack.
Yeah.
Because I will, in the future going forward, I'm going to have some, I'm hoping to have Billy McGuire on and some other constitutionalists that will just explain the meaning between having to go to court in the criminal courts or the, not the commercial courts, but mostly in the commercial courts, affecting you and your mortgage, and how by the subversion of the judicial courts that we have here, that our judges are still signing off to the Crown. So our jurisdictions, our legal jurisdiction is still under the rule of the Crown. That's another topic for conversation, which I will bring in when I bring Billy in, or whoever, other constitutionalists I will bring in on that. I was going to mention the Moore Street. I'm delighted that you brought it up as well. Yeah. And
just the thing about political union, debt union,
go ahead.
And also military union.
Yeah, this pestle.
So Ireland is supposed to be a military neutral country, but in the last number of years, for I don't know, must be close to a decade now, we are already signed up by the government to be members of EU battle groups. Right?
Yeah.
We last, I think it was December 2017. Very quietly on a Monday, the TDs went in and voted to join PESCO, which is a permanent military structure of the European Union. And for a supposed military neutral country, in March you had an Irish soldier in Mali on an EU mission being shot at by Islamists. We are no longer a military neutral country. It has been destroyed slice by slice. And going forward, we're going to have to pay a fortune to upgrade and build all this equipment.
No, we won't. They'll loan us the money. The UN will come in and start selling us
debt unions again.
Get us debt union, more debt union, and all that kind of stuff. That's another process of a conversation, a very slippery slope, because we're becoming the United States of Europe.
Yeah.
And what's the purpose of having your own standing army? Is either to go and attack other countries or enforce your will upon other countries. That's a dangerous territory. Why are we even allowing ourselves to become part of it? Yeah. So, Herman, I'm going to keep it short and sweet. Yes. I want to thank you very much for joining me tonight. Thanks for informing my audience and all the audience at home of the difficult political process that's even in place for the presidential one that Herman's just explained.
European election again.
European election.
I can't say statistics. I can't say.
But you get the point. It's a long-winded, drawn-out process. A couple of interviews I want to draw your attention off before I sign off. I'm hoping to speak with the great SGT report tonight. I'm going to talk on all things 5G, vaccines, all the ones that they make the usual snowflake's head explode, and talk about the understanding around the world of what the implication of 5G and the geoengineering that's going on above our heads. So you've got a SGT report on that. Also, I will be interviewing James Reynolds towards the end of the week. He of the National Party. Be interested to get his take on view on things that's coming forward. And hopefully one or two more other guests will join us along the way. Again, before you sign off, don't forget, press the little like button, also the subscription button and the little blue bell, and you'll be reminded of future broadcasts here in the Grand Torino. And a big special thank you to all my patrons. Please, I encourage you, don't forget to put some fuel tabs into the Grand Torino. She's in the garage getting laid up, but she needs your help to keep the platform going, because if you look at the analytics, we're not only being throttled, we're being demonetized. They don't want to hear these conversations and all the other conversations, but we're determined to bring them forward to you. So with that, look after yourself and see you on the next one.
Wuss.